Hello, this is CapCan Knows, the official podcast of the Capital Area College Access Network. I'm your host, Rachel Cortez, in AmeriCorps Vista, serving with the Capital Area College Access Network. Today is a special episode because joining me is the Executive Director of CapCan, Michelle Strauss, and the President of WOW Writing Workshop, Kim Lifton. We are excited to welcome you today and learn more about how to create the perfect college essay.
Bravo.
Well, welcome, Kim. We're so excited to have you today, and it's great to see you.
Well, it's always a pleasure doing good work with you, Michelle, for good people.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about WOW Writing Workshop, tongue twister. And how did you get in the business of college essay writing?
Well, see, we thought that having a really long name at the end of our email was a fabulous idea. WowWritingWorkshop.com. My business partner, Susan, and I have worked together for a long, long time. We did projects for both communication consultants. I'm a journalist. Susan did corporate speech writing and is a poet. We did a lot of projects together. And it was about, 12, 13 years ago, people started calling me, even longer than that. They would call Susan. We would get these calls from people asking us, because we are the resident writers, to help their kids with their college essays. So it's like, okay, we'll do it. So that's how it started, all with good intent. The only thing missing was I didn't have any idea who the audience was. I didn't know admissions. Susan didn't know admissions. So we got together. We talked about whether or not we could actually create this business. We could have something that was educationally sound, that would take students through a process that would actually work and be for the audience. And I'm the journalist in the group, so my beat became learning about college admissions. And my first conference was the Michigan Association of College Admissions Counseling, and they were so nice. I was so scared. They were so nice to me. They just took me in under their belts. I met someone there who told me to join the national organization. We did. We got involved. We met people. I started contacting admissions people all over. The first one who said yes was Michigan State's Jim Cotter, who was the legendary former director of admissions. And I just started getting information about the essay. We knew how to teach it. We can teach any kind of writing, but we needed to know who the person was who was ultimately reading these, what they were looking for. And so that's how our business started. We started with the community ed model, but that was kind of going away.
Mm-hmm.
So we changed to online a long time ago, and today, 2020,
Right.
Yay.
You were pioneers.
We know how to teach virtually.
Yeah.
Not everything, but the college essay, and we're all set up, we're all structured, and it's good. These are not great times. We all know that. You don't need me to talk about. I'm still waiting for a silver lining, but we can still help students, and we really like to help students who don't have the resources that some of our paying clients do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We really do. It's more meaningful that way.
Exactly. And I have had the joy of doing both online and in-person trainings with both you and Susan. So, I can testify that what you do is helpful, productive, fun, and really can be transforming for the kids that we all work with. So I appreciate that.
We make it so easy. This is such a stressful time in a student's life. They hear a lot of stuff. You can Google college essay and start reading about things that you think colleges want to know, you have to show that you're vulnerable. I don't know where that comes from, that you can't write about sports. Again, I don't know where that comes from. I have talked to so many admissions people over the decade plus. Never have I heard anybody say you cannot write about anything. What they say and what people hear might be two different things. But what admissions people want in a college essay is a story about the student. They want to know who this person is, what makes them tick, why. That is it. None of those questions on the common application. There's 7 of them. One is topic of your choice. And topic of your choice you don't really need it, because every single question there can be answered. It's a perfect topic if you're applying to schools that have other personal statement questions, and then you can take the essay you already wrote and sub it in. I mean, but in most cases, it's not really needed. It just makes people happy because they wanted it. So high school counselor asked for it. So there's 7 prompts, and they you have to know what they're asking. You have to, and they're just not that difficult to answer.
Right. It's really, like you have said before when I've been with both you and Susan, that you already know everything you need to know to write this essay.
It's up
it's you.
Here in the head, pull it out.
Exactly.
So it's about having a process and a plan and a schedule to get it done. So we break it apart. We give these kids instructions where they've never had it. So there's, like I said, there's so much stuff out there that they hear and they don't know what to do with it, because it's not that everything's wrong, it's that it's out of context.
Exactly.
For example, you work at a summer camp at the Y, right? You start to think you can't write about your job at the summer camp, which was so meaningful to you because you heard somebody at some college fair say not to write about summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
The answer to that question is, you don't want to write about your whole summer working at summer camp. You don't want to write about your whole class where you learned how to write. You don't want to write about an entire 4 years of playing tennis. Find a moment in any activity you did when something was transformative, when you learned something small, when you realized something meaningful about yourself, and focus on that. It can happen anywhere. And if these kids spend 4 years of their lives doing one thing, there's going to be a story in there. And we help them find it and write it in their own words, in their own voice. You don't see our words in our students' college essays. So
no, not at all.
Not at all. That's the job. And, and we teach counselors and independent consultants how to use our process to improve their own college essay coaching practices.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say is the most common mistake that students make in the essay writing process that gets them overwhelmed and bogged down?
They come to this process with an idea in their heads, probably 90% of them. Mm-hmm. They spend a lot of time thinking about what topic they're going to write about. That's a mistake, because they're picking a topic before they decide what they want colleges to know about them. And they're starting in the middle of a process. So the mistake is fixating on a topic before you realize what the question is. So they don't answer the prompt because they just write about whatever they want to write about, and they're not really answering the question. So they need to go back, look at the prompt, and parse it, try to understand what it means. And we can make that really easy for them, because in the book that I will give away to all your students, we parse all the prompts on the Common App. That will make it a lot easier for them to understand what they mean, and it's free, our gift to you. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step, not the topic. The topic comes later. So colleges want to know the key to answering any question is to ask yourself this one question: what is it that I want colleges to know about me? That's not, I spent 4 years playing volleyball, because that's also on the application. And right now, it's probably not 4 years. All been cut short by COVID.
Right.
You know, you don't want to write something in your college essay that they already know. But you want to share something meaningful about yourself, which would be, what's the trait, what's the characteristic that defines you? There's multiple ones, positive ones, and the student gets to pick. So sometimes parents will say, my kid is so funny and the essay is not funny. Well, maybe the student didn't want it to be funny. Mm-hmm. It's got to be genuine. It's got to be authentic. So student gets to pick. So mistakes are listening to people who tell you what your story is. The biggest mistake is not answering the prompt. And if a student answers the prompt, yay, they're 10 steps ahead of the other person who may get that spot.
Exactly. So you sort of alluded to this already, that there's this perception that you need to write about your trauma, and that's going to make you seem more genuine or stand out to an admissions person. Obviously, we have COVID right now, which is its own form of trauma, I suppose. So react and respond to that notion, and why you
A
could
lot of
be
people are talking about
effective.
trauma right now, given in the environment with, focus on racism, which was highlighted after COVID. So what the Common App did, what a lot of colleges got together to create a new prompt, a space for students to talk about their COVID experience, because colleges do want to know.
Right.
After the incidents, the highlight, I don't want to talk too much about it, but we all know what's going on. Colleges, it became apparent that students might want to write about trauma, specifically racism, for people of color to be able to write about their experiences. So my answer to this whole thing is, there's two answers, there's two questions. The first one is, there's a COVID prompt that I personally believe every student should write about, because there's a way to do it. So because this is the first time in our recent history when any of us who are here today can actually relate to one particular thing. So our takes on it are going to be different, our experiences are going to be different, but we are all affected by COVID. Every single person on this planet is affected by it. Very true. And so talk about whether this is trauma, whether this is a hardship. Colleges aren't defining that. They just want to know. It's not a reflective prompt. They want to know, what did you do that you didn't get to do before? What did you used to do that you can't do now? How do you feel about it? Just give them the facts. I like to say to keep it as positive as you can. You don't want to write, if you felt depressed, are you going to just say, I was depressed for the whole time and I learned nothing about myself and I just sat in my room? That's up to you. The answer to that is this something you want college to know? And we all know the answer to that. Why would you want them to know that? But if you suffer from depression, which is a traumatic thing, and you started this by feeling really good because you didn't have to go to every club at school, you didn't have to do all your activities, and suddenly you're home and you can relax. So it feels good at first, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're at this place, and then you realize you had to do something. So you started an online club with all your friends. You met once a week and you played a game online, or you did political calls on your computer, or take away from that, or you made, it doesn't have to be big, or you discovered that you like to knit, and that felt really good. And even if you binge watch Netflix, like, so what if you watch a bunch of documentaries? They just want to know. So this is a place where you can say, I did A, B, and C, and then I felt better, and I became myself, and I started to feel better. Or I was home, I didn't have that pressure that I felt at school, and my grades improved. They're going to know your grades improved, but they're not going to know why. Right. So like, you can use that space to share something that they don't already know that happened because of COVID. That's all that is. So the other question about trauma, and there's a lot of that running around in this industry that I'm in, that you're in, that's the topic du jour, how to write about trauma. The same way as you write about anything else. If your goal is to say, I was bullied, poor me, and I just want you to know, then what are you sharing with colleges? Nothing. So the personal statement is about sharing something meaningful to you. What happened and it felt bad. Then what are you sharing with them? What did you learn about that? So did you then start making, what did you do with it? Right. Did you become an activist? There you go. So talk about your activism, and then that story that started it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller.
I think the thing that really
what happened and why does it matter, and what are you sharing with colleges? So go
colleges want to know that they are having students of character and students that really express the full range of diversity that they're looking for in their student body. And so to tell that story and illuminate the resume part of an application through that personal story is really going to give them much greater insight, not only into you, but into the whole class that is coming into the college or university. And
they already know if you're a minority. They know if you're a person of color. They know if you're a nice Jewish girl from Farmington Hills. That would be me. They know if you go to a fancy school. They know if you have one parent living with you or two, and what your financial situation is. They know a lot about you. So you want to share with them something they don't know. And they don't know how you felt about something, and they don't know how you reacted to it, and they don't know what you learned about yourself because of it. So anything that deals with trauma, it's the same answer. I've had students write about, like, why are you writing about your friend who killed himself? It's really sad. And I think it's a great idea to write about it if it makes you feel good. But if all you're writing is like, I'm sad because my friend died, what are you telling colleges about you? I'm sad. But if your friend died and you're sad and you're now a mentor in a peer-to-peer at your school, and somebody was feeling really bad and you noticed it and you contacted the teacher who contacted the parent, and maybe you helped save someone's life and got them into treatment of some sort, how do you feel about that? Mm-hmm. What does that show about you? And is that what you want to share with colleges? So the question is, what is it you want them to know and why? So you don't want to just tell them something because it's cool or hip.
Right.
So yeah, so I really like to help students. A lot of times the stories about trauma don't make great college essays.
No, that's probably true, but but
all. They can write about it in the optional section if it's something you want them to know. Are you an advocate? Do you want to become an advocate? Whatever it is that's important to you. So.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think this is really important. And I'm assuming, because of the audience that we often talk to, we have a lot of parents and certainly professionals that work with students that are watching our podcast. So it's important for us to also address up front, what is the role of the parent or the teacher or the counselor or the mentor in helping the student do this college essay process?
I mean, if they're trained and they know what they're reading for, they can read it. The key to helping a student, if you're not like a trained person who knows what the college essay is to just be like this gentle, supportive adult in the student's life. And there is a way to read an essay you don't want to make the student feel bad. So there's a couple things here. First, you can help. Like, nobody loves these kids more than parents and the people who work with an organization like yours. These people really love the kids. So they come from a place of love. And you can love too much. You know, it's like when people love their dogs too much and feed them human food, it's not really good for them. You can love your children too much. And instead of teaching them to do something on their own, doing it for them. So you certainly don't want to write the essay for them, and you don't want to tell them what topic to write about. That's a big thing with parents. Mm-hmm. They sit there, as the students are thinking a lot about what they should write about, mom and dad or the high school counselor are like, oh, write about that. That's really good. And that only happens because a student might say, I don't know what to write about. And then we love them so much, we're like, oh, well, how about this? And if you just take a breath and count to 10 before you answer that question, it'll be a lot better. So what we tell parents they can do, parents can help the students determine what the traits are they want to share with colleges. It's certainly okay to say, I see this in you, rather than like, go do something good or telling them what to do or deciding their fate. Talk about what you like about the person. So like, Michelle, you're kind I appreciate your kindness. Like, I can see that, right? Is that something you want to share with colleges? And you'll go, not really. So, okay. So then you say, Michelle, you tell me, what do your friends like about you? Just kind of start a conversation, keep a conversation going, and focus that conversation on your subject, which is the student.
Mm-hmm.
Your job, mom and dad, and coach, and person who loves them, great adult in your life, or older sibling, all these people who love them, your job is just to help them figure out for themselves what's important to them and what they want to know, what they want colleges to know about them that colleges don't already know from everything else they see. That's your job.
Right.
Right.
So I think one of the things that parents often do when they're handed a child's essay to read is start hashing out the grammar and the spelling and the sentence structure and all that. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. So anything you want to say about that besides the love and support?
Yeah. They can have our book for parents. I'll give you a link. It's wellwritingworkshop.com/free-parent-book. A parent's role. It'll tell you. But basically, and that's for any adult, your job is not to mark up the essay. Never mark up an essay. You can know what to read for. Learn what to read for. Make sure that the story answers the prompt and that it has a theme, and a theme answers these two questions: what happened and why does it matter? That's it. It's not your job to say, use this word. And English teachers, no, they're not supposed to use all those transition words you use in your essays about books. No. Use the words you use every day. Not words I use, not words you use, not words anybody uses except for the person writing. This is no place for experimentation in writing.
Right.
It has to sound like the student. And I can tell anytime somebody else gets involved in it. And
I had a good experience last year where I worked with a group of students who are former refugees, come to this country. English is not their primary language. They had been maybe in U.S. schools for 3 years maximum. And of course, their ability to talk to me was so much more comfortable than their ability to take the ideas in their head and type it up. So
makes sense.
I had the honor, truly the honor of saying, you tell me what you want to say and I will just type it.
Okay.
Okay. And they did that. And it was totally their voice. Yeah, I might have corrected the spelling when I was typing, but it was definitely their voice. And then I had them read it aloud back to me.
Those are two really good tips.
And I wouldn't have known that, quite honestly, if I, number one, hadn't been trained by you and Susan, but number two, just understanding the whole point of honoring that student's experience and that student's story. And it was an honor.
And it would still be a little choppy. Why wouldn't it be?
Right. And I gave feedback to the community college and said, I realize why you do what you do, but it would have been really helpful if the student would have had an option of submitting some sort of an audio story that they could have put together too, because the language was difficult for them.
But they're going to have to do it in college.
Right. Right.
And the other, let's talk about expectations. Colleges don't expect the student from Russia who's been here for 3 years to sound on paper like an American.
Right.
But if they want to go to a U.S. school, their English has to be okay.
Yep.
So there's a couple things, and they usually have to take the TOEFL test.
Right. And that was part of the challenge, is that there was no place for them to be able to say, I'm still, mastering English. I will be taking the TOEFL test.
This is also a place, there's that optional essay. That would be a good place for that student to write about, I've been struggling with my English and I've got tutoring and I'm working really hard. I understand it better than I can articulate it. That would be a place that's additional information.
Exactly.
I can do this and I intend to have a tutor at college.
Yeah. definitely.
Yeah,
And that's available on the Common App, but it was not available on the scholarship essay that this college
Okay.
offered. So, but I appreciate you saying that that is an option on the Common Application. So students know that that's
But that's why
available.
the student was so lucky to have you, because I would have helped too. I probably would have done what you did. I would have said, okay, tell me, and I would have written it the exact same way. And so what if you fix a spelling word for someone from another who speaks another language?
Right.
That's not the issue.
Yeah,
Not the
Yeah.
issue. And the syntax would be a little different, and that's okay too.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
well, great. So you told us that you've got books, that you have trainings. What other resources do you have for students that they might be able to use
I do a monthly free class, and sometimes I have surprise guests.
I participated in some of those. Those are fun.
It's fun. I don't do it every month, and but I like last month I had a dean of admissions from the University of Rochester, and he was great. And I had a couple months ago, I had someone from Cornell, and then my first one ever was John from Michigan State, John Ambrose. So that was, fun stuff.
Right.
It's
Get
always-
some great insights.
Yeah, because so what they help with is when students ask questions about the audience, I'm like, well, I feel kind of awkward talking about the audience when the audience is right here. So go ahead, take it away. But yeah, it was fun. John and I had fun doing ours.
Yes, it was great. So people can access those even after the fact.
You can
Those
only access if you can access the last one we did. But
Okay.
I can send you a link to the one with John Ambrose.
Oh, great.
That's
That
the
would
one
be
you-
awesome.
That is the one you want, right?
Well, I think, those of us who are from Michigan would like to be able to highlight our Michigan schools, right?
I'll
So-
send you a link to that, Michelle.
All right, great. Good. So I know we're running out of time today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Words of wisdom or resources that you think are going to be helpful for students and or their support person that's walking them through this process?
That's a loaded question, Michelle.
I know.
For the support people, that's what you need to be, supportive and kind and gentle. These students are under a lot of stress, and it's not our job to add to it. For the students, trust yourself. You have a strong voice. You know what it is you want to say. Focus on you. You're the star of your college essay. You and only you. Not your great aunt who saved a bunch of kids from a burning fire. Not your mom who taught you to read. Not your first grade teacher. Not Michelle. It's you. So that's hard. I'd like to acknowledge that it is sometimes hard when someone says, tell me about you. So a lot of students love writing, but it's hard to write about yourself. And it is the hardest kind of writing. But, we try to make it really easy. And if there's anything that we can do at Wow Writing Workshop to help, we will. And we're working on that. So you'll hear more from us soon, because we really would like to offer some type of helpful service and give you some resources that can help and can help the students be more independent in this process, and help the people who work with you to guide them with more knowledge.
Right.
So,
Well, it's a good teaser for future podcasts with you.
That's
So
my
I
goal.
appreciate that. Yeah. So we end all of our podcasts with the statement, CapCan knows, but you get to state your name and what you know. So Kim Lifton.
is that it? Like Kim Lifton?
Yeah.
What do I know?
Yeah.
Wow, Michelle.
Isn't that profound?
I guess you didn't put that in my question list.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot to add that to your question list.
So my name is Kim Lifton, and I know that each of you can do this task. Each of you can write a college essay that's meaningful to you and answers the prompt. You have been waiting for this. This is your moment, and I believe in you. There's my thing. I'm going to start over here. I'm Kim Lifton, and I believe in you.
Excellent. Perfect. See, you didn't need the prompt. So thank you, Kim, so much for joining us on our Cap Can Knows podcast. And
Thank you for
we
having me.
appreciate all you do for our students and for all of us who are supporting our students.
Oh, we are in awe of you. My heart goes out to all of you. You work with the people who need it most, and that's so meaningful. So thank you for what you do.
For more information on CapCan, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The links will be below. Also, check us out on www.capcan.org. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon.